Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
Sons of the Footscray, red, white and blue. We will come up smiling if we win or lose. Others build their teams, my lads, to think they know the game. But you can't beat the boys of the bulldog breed that make all Footscray's name.
We're having a bit of an old-timers day today, aren't we? Playing the real versions of the songs, and that, of course, being the Sons of the Scray, not Sons of the West. And we've done that for a good reason. But before we introduce our guest, Rob, you wanted to say something about...
Yeah, I do. Look, we normally have a GDFL segment on the show. We have a great relationship with the Geelong and District Footy League, and we've spoken to some greats of the competition in recent times, promoting videos that Noel Fanning has put on the website. But today we just didn't have room. But I'm very pleased that one of our favourite listeners, Grubby Cations, who had his nose out of joint when I told him there was going to be no GDFL segment today, but he's in awe of what we produced. And it's going to get a little bit better because on the back of the very sad news of losing Neil Saxey, there was a man who had a little bit to do with getting him across from Adelaide, and then a lot to do with him beyond the terrible accident. A man who's sort of the everything at the Footscray football and cricket clubs over many years. John Dodd, good morning to you. John, are you there?
We've lost John.
John? Had him a minute ago. John, are you with us? Oh, everything should be working. Let's just chat amongst ourselves. But this has never happened to me before.
Do you want to maybe give him a call back and we can talk a bit about... just taking him off the line there for a moment.
Let's do that.
Yes, okay, so we've this is live radio, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happens when you don't have a producer in the room or someone knows how to use the phone. So for those of you who haven't caught up with us before, this is the Two Blokes Chatting radio show. We are on Facebook, which is twoblokeschatting.com.au. No, it isn't. Completely wrong. Facebook, we just look for Two Blokes Chatting. Our website is twoblokeschatting.com.au. You can either use the 2 or the TWA. We are on Twitter as well. Let's try again now, shall we, Rob Cameron?
John Dodd, are you with us now?
Yes, I am.
Oh, brilliant.
Sure. We have both aged a lot in the last minute trying to find you, and Rob can't.
What went on then?
And Rob can't.
Lovely sunny day in Hoppers Crossing.
Rob can't afford to age much more than he already has. Welcome to the program.
Right, thanks very much for that, and it's a privilege to have a talk about Neil Sash.
Yeah, look, it's a great legend of the game. We also spoke about the great Billy Stephen this morning, but to lose them both in a week, it is sad, but they lived full lives, and we intend to honour them today. You go a long way back because you travelled across to Adelaide many years ago to watch this young man play.
Yes, I did. In 1974, we at that stage, Jack Collins in 1973 was president, and then he was ousted by Dick Collinson in 1975 when we got Neil over, and I went over a couple of times to watch him play. One day there at Glenelg and then at Norwood, and met his parents, and we were very impressed, and obviously got him over pre-season in 1975, and he was so popular with our staff at that time. In those days, we only had Betty Veal in the office. She was in charge of the office. Kevin Webb and myself as promotions officer. So there was only 3 or 4 full-time paid employees in those days.
So you filled multiple roles?
Multiple roles, yeah. My role was promotions officer, going around in actually that was inside of Alan Swab from the VFL at the time. He was a general manager of the VFL, so he thought, let's have zoning. So every club had a promotions officer. Luckily, I had the gift of the gab. I mean, I was
really.
I only played a couple of reserve games and in the under-19s in the 60s. So then, luckily, I got the job, and that was it. So I was promoting football in our zone, which was the Latrobe Valley, and also recruiting.
So just out of interest, just momentarily on Neil, how old was he when he came across?
23.
Okay, so he was still a very young man, wasn't he?
And when he came over, there was a couple of days there he was a bit lost. So I said to Neil, let's go up. I'll show you. He wanted to know a lot about the club, obviously. He was a great person. Loved the food. Loved to eat. He was unbelievable. So what happened, I said to him one day I had to go up and meet the president and the secretary of the Latrobe Valley. So we took a day trip up to the Latrobe Valley, and we went through every town, and we had a pie or a pasta at every pie shop. He put on about 4 stone, I think, before he played his first game.
There are a few down there too, I've got to say. I lived in that neck of the woods, and there were some fairly handy footballers come out of that part of the world. There's a bloke called Quinlan, a bloke called Round, a bloke called Salmon. They all seem to go pretty well.
Did you recruit all of them, Dodd?
On every town we went through Warrigal, which wasn't in our zone, that was Hawthorn, but we got Barry Round from Hawthorn, from that zone, from Warrigal. So I told him about that, and then we headed up through Rosedale, and we got the Cordies from there.
Okay.
We headed up to Sale, and I'd mentioned Sale. We had Traralgon first. Then we got Bernie Quinlan from Traralgon, and he was playing that day when Neil unfortunately went down. So he was playing. Also, Jeff Jennings played that day on the 12th. Jeff played. We got him from Traralgon, recruited him, and then later on, we had Calvin Templeton, who was.
He went all right.
I mentioned from him. He played really, played the next year in our team. We recruited him, and the other one was really good. Was Ricky Kennedy.
Oh yeah, goodness gracious! He's just put the fear into people.
Yeah.
Neil about those, but we stopped at every stop on the way down, and had something to eat at every pie shop right down from Sale across to Leongatha, where we got Sockeye Sam and recruited him from Leongatha way, and Gary Baker.
Yeah, okay, wow,
great nickname.
But so he was really interested in the culture of the club. Wanted to know everything about the club and also players. He was also, another day I took him into a promotions officers meeting, and he met Sheeds, was at promotions officer at Richmond at the time, and Kevin had a really good talk to him. Also, there was Andrew Ireland, it was Collingwood, and Slug Jordan said a few words. But
What's Slug?
That'd be worth listening to.
Oh, he's giving one too.
Hey, Doddsy, you've just named some of the absolute greats of the club that have come out of the Latrobe Valley, so you saw them firsthand.
I was there at the time when all those, I had a lot to do. I got Ricky Kennedy down. We had Ian Morrison from Sale. Jeff Geeshan, who became did well. He was at Mafra. We had Ian Rickman, who didn't really make the grade. He was down from Lakes Entrance.
Did all right at Williamstown,
Yeah,
though.
he was a good player at Williamstown,
But in
definitely.
the VFA at Williamstown.
Yeah.
Hey, so Doddsy, how good compared to those characters do you think Neil Saxey could have been?
Well, the club in those years, we'd planned, when we saw him, he was going to be our centre-half back. And we were really going to build around him. We were lacking a centre-half back. We had, at that time, Gordon Casey, who was getting a little bit older, but we had Terry Wheeler, who was then just come to the club playing, and so we had plans that when these older players left. We had Bernie Quinlan, and we cleared Bernie Quinlan, Barry Round, and Brian Wilson, and they won Brownlows when they left us, and that says a lot. And Neil was interested in our administration, and at that time, other clubs like Essendon had Colin Stubbs, Graham Richmond at Richmond, very successful because they were sort of business people, strong business people. We had great people, but they were lovely people. But the guidance, I thought,
They were just footy club people.
Like we had Dick Collins, and then we had Jack before that.
So Doddsy, post
Charlie Sutton, he stood in after that. Charlie was a great person, a legend of our club, obviously, and a great person. But he was our stand-in president at the time when I was still there then, in those days. And Neil wanted to know all about those people. He wanted to know a lot about the players that we had. Like we had, I think, Peter Featherby. He played that day when Neil went down. So we had some great players, but we weren't successful. And Neil wanted to know about that, why I thought he was really an astute person, and we planned our club around him being a strong centre half back, and we thought we had every other position covered with the recruits we were getting in the year or two later.
Dodgy, post the injury, you had a bit to do with Neil still when he went back to Adelaide and lived, I would imagine, a pretty full life considering the horrible circumstance that he lived in.
Well, he did, and the thing that, and you know what football clubs are like. People come and go. We have so many through the under-19s and the reserves, and we had a lady, Betty Beale, who was in the office, and she did so much, and we used to, for the first, when he left for 4 years at least, we rang, each week, and the club, we had the certain car. Well, the club bought him, or had so much to do with the financial side of buying that car for Neil. And he struggled early, and then he was a very confident, very strong man. And as the family were, like a great family, and you saw that when he came to the club. He was just a very mature young man, and he was very strong-willed. And, a lot of people would have given in, but he just fought so hard and worked so hard to get where he got. And with the things that he did for those people was incredible.
And I think the thing that puzzled me, I was actually there that day. It happened about 20 metres in front of me. I was on the half-forward flank. I'm a Fitzroy supporter, and I was there. Yeah. And the fact that he played a game and a half for the Bulldogs, and that was it,
yes,
and yet was held in such esteem.
Because of his character, and he's a beautiful, sincere...
Yeah, that to me speaks volumes.
Oh, definitely.
Now, John, we need to we've got very little time, and I want to touch on something else. When I spoke to you during the week about this, you told me what you do today, and on the back of a conversation we had last week with a Year 12 student and struggling with education and teaching and parents, your role at the moment, it fascinates me.
I work at Manor Lake Secondary College, and a good friend of mine who's principal there, great principal, he's Steve Warner, Mr. Warner. Steve Warner. We had 2,300 children at the school, and with this corona, the corona sort of virus came in. We've had to obviously everyone's working from home, the kids, and we're all concerned that they're lacking. They all want to be at school, so we've had sort of kids that parents are in the police force or nursing, and as we've had them in at school, as every other school have. They've been in school and learning from the hard copies at school. So it's like a little country school at the moment. But hopefully in three weeks' time, that with things going the right way, that we can all get back to school. But I think Steve Warner had a great thought in getting. I'm always in telling stories in schools and making kids happy, because it's a big school of 2,300 children, and so many different...
You're one of those lovely old men that loves telling fibs about how good you used to be. John,
and I enlarge on that too.
We've got to go, mate. Just you'll have to put a sock in it for a sec. We've got to go. We'll get you back on talking about cricket, and speaking of which, another member of our Go Footy.live team, Paul Kinnamborough, passes on his warmest as well.
You're joking?
No, I'm not joking. I'm deadly serious.
Paul, God.
Yeah, that we think the same about him as well.
Oh, you're kidding.
John Dodd, thank you very much. We'll get you back on in the cricket season, because I think you got a story or two to tell there as well. All the best, mate.
Okay, then.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, John.
Thank you. All the best to you.